Profanity Nation.
Yeah, it's the new era of man for some old school fans with a new school brand. We got money on the mic with the plan in hand. And Stat Pat to his left, they go hand in hand. And to the right, we got Simpster, he putting it down. It's the Profanity Nation, we running the town. Yeah,
It's the Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Profanity Nation podcast, where we are the voice of the professional fan. It is Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. You know where to find us. You know where we are. The Infanity Studio streaming channel, only on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. As always, I got my co-host over here. We got Money Mike. How you feeling, my man?
Yo, we eat this because this is a special show.
I hear a heartbeat.
Get it really into.
I hear a heartbeat.
We're not really gonna get into the Lakers tonight but let me just say this: a LeBron-less team is undefeated. That's all I'm saying. now all is good, right?
The LeBron-less team is undefeated. Of course, as you guys know, I'm
just documenting.
We're
I'm not hating. I'm just documenting.
We're the professional Laker fans over here, of course, and the Lakers are currently 3-0 since LeBron took a little injury, and they're on their way quite quickly to 4-0 as they defeating the Spurs right now, up by approximately 30 points last time we checked in the fourth quarter. So looks like all is getting better in Lakerland. Who knows? They may be able to get some momentum going. They may be able to get.
They got it.
Yeah, AD's playing like a beast.
Man, absolutely. Like the guy's getting I think he had 18 points in the first quarter.
Yeah, the first period, exactly.
Yeah.
So they took him out. He's sitting, which is the way it should be in the fourth quarter. So everything's looking good there. But we got a special episode for you guys. We all know Christmas is coming up, and if you're a baller, if you like basketball, then we know you like your kicks, you like your sneakers, and you're a sneakerhead. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about some shoes here. We have a guest. We got Mark from Sneaker Resell X on Instagram. It is Sneaker Resell X. Let's go ahead and bring Mark on. Mark, how you doing, my man?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Good. We can see you got your kicks right there behind you.
Of course,
awesome.
man. We're stocked up.
Little shoe store with you right there, my man.
Yeah.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Excited.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thanks for joining us. We've been talking about this for a little while, so we're really happy to have you on.
Yes,
that's
we
for
have.
sure.
Yep.
All right, man. Let's get up. You got a question right away.
Hey, man. So look, I got a story for you. So
okay.
So
Hit me with it.
You know, I'm gonna tell you. I was a sneakerhead for one day. I'm gonna tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I went to go get the Kobe Beethovens. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I logged on to Nike. I was like, oh, first time I've done this. I went, got my size. Everything was cool. They said I was in line. So I took it like I actually was in line holding up the shoe. And then 10 minutes later, they were like, hey, sold out. I'm like, wait a minute. Who took the damn shoes out out from me? Because as far as I was concerned, I was in line getting the shoes. So I was so mad that I woke up so early. It was the first time I did it. They offered the Nike ID version, right? Mm-hmm. So I got them on right now. I did a Nike ID version. I changed the tongue from a white to a black, and then I paid extra $60 more for the shoe. So this is 1 of 1. So how much are these Beethovens worth? Because they're 1 of 1.
I'll tell you, people sleep on the Nike IDs because you can really just make any shoe. Like if you missed a shoe, you missed a shoe drop, someone cart snatched you, they took your spot in line and you can't get the pair, then you just hit a Nike ID. They won't know what's coming to them.
Right.
Yeah. But these are 1 of 1. Like there's no other Nike Beethoven made like this.
Were those made on Nike ID was doing Kobe's?
Yeah, so literally like right after I went on Nike.com, and then after they said it was sold out, Nike ID, they had the actual Beethoven shoe, and that's what they offered. So then it was extra $60. It took like about a month and a half to get.
Not taking that long anyways.
And then I kind of modified them like the actual Beethovens have a white tongue. I put a black tongue on there. But these are 1 of 1, though. 1 of 1.
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark.
It should be worth something.
When you're talking about rare shoes, is it kind of like when you're looking at classic cars that the stock car is worth more than something that's been customized? Is that the same when we're talking about Nike ID?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Nike ID pairs are usually going to be worth less than like if you were to take a an orange Nike Dunk that goes for $1,000 on StockX and just recreate it in Nike ID, it would be going for a lot less because anybody could have done that in that moment. But I mean, when you have unique stories like that, you know, that's very interesting. They obviously, so you can't go and customize Kobe's anymore. I didn't even know that that was ever a thing. So you taught me something today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, maybe I should put them on, man. Like Nike
they're pretty
ID.
worn, my man.
Yeah, well, you know, can I clean them up? I can paint this white or something. I don't know.
No repainting, original paint only, my friend.
Yep.
Mark, tell us a little bit about your business. Tell us how you got started. We know, you know, you're kind of kicking ass over there. You're selling quite a bit of shoes. You got a beautiful selection. Tell us how you got started in the shoe biz.
Yeah, so I had a couple sneakers laying around. Originally, when I bought them, I planned on wearing them. I thought I was going to grow into them, you know, and unfortunately, I never did. So they were like a size 10 at the time. I think I wore size 8. And now I stopped growing at size 9. So I was never going to grow into those shoes, but I thought I was. And I got them for cheap because my friend sold them to me before I was really that into sneakers. And I ended up making an Instagram page just to sell those sneakers. I never planned on doing anything big. And the next thing I know, I realized there's a whole community of people selling sneakers on Instagram. And after those shoes sold and I had no shoes left, I started seeking out shoes to buy. And the next thing I know, I'm flipping all these shoes. It's, you know, becomes a huge hobby. You know, and then eventually it's a whole business, and that's kind of what happened. One day I woke up and decided, hey, I'm going to be a sneaker reseller.
So you just kind of fell into it, stumbled upon it, found some success with it, and kept it rolling. It's got to be a lot of work to find the shoes. I imagine, you know, once you get some sources and once you get big enough, maybe some people are coming to you with some product and so forth. But which would you say is the hardest part? Is it finding the merchandise to sell or selling the merchandise itself?
You know, I actually love that you asked that question because that answer changes throughout the year. So earlier this year, the market was super, super hot. And I like to call it a buyer's market I like to call it a seller's market because any shoe that I could find, I could sell. If I could get a decent price on a shoe, no matter what, that shoe will sell. It could be any type of bullshit sneaker, somebody will buy it. But now things have shifted a little bit. You know, economy's gone into a bit of a recession, and with that following, now it's more of a buyer's market where, you know, if you're buying sneakers, you're probably going to get a better deal than the seller just because there's more or just less money in circulation. So that frequently changes.
Yeah, but let me ask you though, like what shoes? I mean, obviously we know the hot ones, like the
What up, Angry Watson?
I guess are the Yeezys still hot? The Jordans always, the Kobe's. What other ones are like really hot that you know that they maintain their value or they grow in value?
Yeah, Jordan 1s just through my entire reselling career have maintained super high demand. I mean, from when I first started, everyone wanted Jordan 1s. Now everyone wants Jordan 1s. So I think that's one shoe that's completely timeless. It doesn't matter how many they release. All the original colorways that were put out of that shoe are just going to continue selling for bread, honestly, just because everyone loves that clean Jordan 1 silhouette.
Okay. Well, what about like Kobe's and Yeezys and other ones?
Yeah. Kobe's, you know, it's interesting because before Kobe died, Kobe's really weren't that popular. I mean, people didn't really, I know a lot of hoopers might have worn them, but people weren't reselling them. People weren't collecting them. As soon as Kobe died, you had shoes that were selling for $100, $200 going for like $800. So, you know, RIP to Kobe, but the shoes skyrocketed. And that was a huge moment in the sneaker community.
You know what? I'm going to go with you there. I'm going to pick up on that. All respect to Kobe, of course, RIP. But reality was, at least, and still to this day, they weren't the prettiest shoes. To be honest with you, they weren't the prettiest designs, which I think they are functional and they are great as far as playing in them. But as far as sporting, wearing gear, and looking hot, they just didn't have that same look, that same mystique that the Jordans generally had. So I
Yeah,
totally get that. That's for sure.
definitely.
I do have a question. Although my most prized pair of shoes we keep up here on the set, the Kobe One
Beautiful.
Proto by Defeated. Those are mine, size 13, never worn. I keep them up there. Planned on wearing them. Got them. I said I can't wear these. I can't get these dirty. So I never wear them. So now they're might be, you call them a shelf queen or safe queen, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever wear them. I'll just keep them. But I love those shoes. Those are my favorites. I keep quite
Yeah.
a few. A lot of the shoes that we have here are from my collection. But so I'm a little bit of a sneakerhead there. And I've actually purchased from you in the past, so I appreciate it. But my question is
Thank you,
this:
brother.
is from what I understand, and I may have this wrong as far as the site. I do believe it's StockX. Did they just come out and change whether they could guarantee that they are real or legit? And why would they do that? And what ramifications do you think that has on their business over there?
Yeah, so I can tell you what happened with StockX. Essentially, this all started when Nike was suspicious of StockX for selling fake sneakers. So they filed a lawsuit against StockX and started investigating them for passing fake sneakers. And allegedly, a Nike employee purchased a batch of 4 fake sneakers, Jordan 1 patent breads, from the StockX site. And I think like 3 or 4 of them or something like that ended up being fake. And when that happened, and then Nike sued StockX. And I think at this stage in the lawsuit, they're losing. And the only way for them to protect themselves legally is say, we no longer can guarantee that your shoes are authentic. Because before on the StockX website, it says all sneakers are guaranteed to be 100% new and 100% authentic. Now it just says they're guaranteed to be new. And that's because, you do have humans and they have to pass thousands of pairs every single day, and they're probably rushing. They're not fully checking the shoes. And people are going to take advantage of that and try to send in fake sneakers to pass through their platform.
I would assume you've come across some fakes, people
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to sell fakes and so forth. How did you educate yourself, being that you just kind of stumbled into this career? How did you educate yourself properly to avoid those counterfeit shoes?
So when I first got into the sneaker game, I knew that, I did not know how to legit check shoes because I barely knew anything about shoes. So I would talk to a lot of people and have them legit check shoes for me who were more experienced in the game. I also used certain legit check apps that were popular at the time. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Like if you search up Jordan 1 Obsidian, for example, Jordan 1 Obsidian, how to legit check, there were YouTube videos coming out on details of what separates the authentic shoes and the legitimate sneakers. And then with time, I started getting thousands of sneakers. And when that happened, I eventually, was dealing with these sneakers every day, and I could easily tell apart a fake from a real shoe. So now I get it in, and I'm able to legit check all the sneakers by hand. Just from my experience, here at Sneaker Resell X, I've sold just under 6,000 pairs of sneakers, and I get to feel them out. I get to feel the materials. I get to literally see how they smell. How heavy is the box? And all these factors are kind of built into my brain now. And now I'm able to authenticate sneakers.
Gotcha. Dwan, can you pull up that comment again? He was asking about a pair of shoes in the comment section here. And that is, I'm not going to try to say the name there, but I'm not sure if you have any Lonzo Ball or Brittany Griner sneakers. However, we do know, go ahead and scream out your Instagram address so they could go check, because you have it set up awesome where you can check by size and you have everything. You keep everything current. So go ahead and scream out your Instagram address one more time.
So if you go to @Sneaker Resell X on Instagram and you just check these little size highlights, every size. You can tap on it. You can scroll through. You can see whatever shoes I have in your size. Whether you're a size 4, I have a bunch of shoes available. Whether you're a 14, I have a bunch of shoes available. And you can go shop, message me, and I'll reply personally.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, I mean, do you have any Brittany grinders? I didn't even know
I
Brittany
don't.
grinder.
No, I don't.
Okay. Any Lonzo balls?
I don't know. We typically stay with Jordans, Nike Dunks, Yeezys, occasionally Kobe's, and then certain designer sneakers like Gucci, Balenciaga, and Alexander McQueen, for example.
Okay, so let me ask you about the Yeezy, because everybody knows what's going on with the Yeezy
Great question.
situation.
Yeah.
Now,
Sure.
you know, for what I understand is Adidas is still going to release the same style shoe. It just won't be quote unquote a Yeezy shoe. Is that going to make the actual Yeezy shoe more expensive or less expensive? How do you think the market's going to shift?
Right. Okay. Good question. So if Adidas releases new Yeezys with the same designs that they had already intended to release under Kanye's name, but haven't come out yet, then I think it's going to make the original colorways that came out, you know, back when Adidas was signed to Kanye, more popular and increase in value, because, you know, that's going to be talking about, or that's going to have a bunch of conversation around the name Yeezy. And then people are going to see Adidas basically ripping themselves off, and all the original colorways, all the original Yeezys going to go up in value. But if they just go and re-release all the same designs that they've already released, Yeezy market is going to zero. Like every Yeezy that has ever come out, if they just start restocking them under Adidas, then all of these Yeezys are going to crash.
So it's hard to tell. It depends what Adidas does.
Yes.
Now that would, you would think that would behoove Adidas, that they wouldn't want to do that. It doesn't really benefit them, because if it crashes, no one's going to be buying those anyways, because then they become played out.
I kind of disagree with that, because you're saying the Yeezys are going to crash, because right, not the Adidas. So
well,
if I could, or do you think people would not buy
I think both, one in the same,
or they would not buy the Adidas version?
I think either way, Adidas sales is going to tank regardless. So Adidas Yeezy sales are not going to do well regardless. But I'm just talking about what's going to happen with the resale market. And honestly, we're kind of in a situation where, from a business perspective, Adidas has to look at two evils and make a decision which is going to affect the market, which are they going to make more money doing. But I also don't know, from a legal standpoint, what designs they actually have the rights to. Are they allowed to go and re-release the same Yeezys that they released with Kanye, or are they only allowed to release the Yeezys that they made with Kanye but haven't released yet? You know what I mean?
You know what though, but this is a huge, this almost brings me to the Lakers in a sense. This is a huge decision for Adidas, because this may have a lot to do with which designers, which brand names decide to work with Adidas in the future. Because if Adidas goes ahead and reproduces the older Yeezys under their own name and destroys the old market, would a new designer choose to go there and be played like that by Adidas, knowing that if they don't stay with Adidas, Adidas will undercut them and destroy the market value for their shoes? The Lakers, the way I compare it, the Lakers pay Kobe Bryant his last couple years, even though they knew he wouldn't be productive, because they're keeping him and they're paying off the superstar. Some people may consider that's happening with LeBron James right now. If they didn't pay him, then you're asking, well, what superstar is going to come to the Lakers if the Lakers aren't taking care of their superstars? So I would think that there would be more long-term effects for Adidas and a much more difficult time to get a high-profile name if they choose that path.
And look, and
you're right about that.
I disagree,
Okay.
because I would look at it like buying resale tickets. Like, so whatever face value of the ticket, say to watch a Laker game was $150, but you know, if they about to win a championship, that may go for $1,000. But the Lakers don't really care, or Crypto Arena doesn't really care about the resale market, right? Because they're only gonna get what face value is anyway. So does Nike, does Adidas Do they care about how much the shoes go for the resale market?
Yes, they do, because if a shoe is reselling, then that means it's selling out on Adidas. So like if they're releasing 1,000 pairs of a shoe and it's reselling, that means it's sold out on Adidas. So if it's not reselling, then it's also not, then they're not selling out. So depending how much demand they can create in the resale market is how much demand they can, or sorry, how much money they're going to make. You know what I mean?
Now the brands themselves, Nike, Jordan, Adidas, they create the feeling of rareness because they can sell
Yes.
10 million of that one design and completely flood the market, but they choose not to. They choose, much like the diamond market, they choose to control that. So you're right. That's a little bit probably of how they gauge the success of the shoe. Because at any time they can order a million more and sell them out pretty quickly and just keep ordering millions until they just have so much stock, but they choose not to because it creates a want and a need for that shoe, and that's more valuable than actually selling them shoes
Long term.
themselves because it adds to
Yeah.
the market, right?
Yeah.
The mystique of the shoes themselves. I got a question for you. Let's get into some fun stuff if we can.
Yeah.
What would you say, or you probably know, and you don't have to quote, I guess, exactly, but what was the rarest and or most expensive shoe you got a hold of, and do you still have it, or did you choose to sell it?
So the rarest shoe I ever had was a pair of Red October Yeezys, and I got them for an absolute steal. I actually got them on GOAT, and I paid $4,800 for that shoe. I got them in. They took like a month to ship, but as soon as they got here, I sold them the next day for $6,300, and that was felt like a miracle. You know what I mean?
That was nice. That was really neat. How do you keep up and how do you keep tabs on the trends and what I mean, like you said, obviously you're keeping tabs on the Yeezy situation to see what Adidas does, so that way but are you are you hoarding Yeezys right now? Are you looking more for the Yeezys, or are you just take what you get and just sell them and let the market kind of play out?
Business as usual. I think that I don't want to necessarily speculate on what's going to happen in the future, because for all I know, Adidas might not make their decision for 3 more years. And if I know that right now the Yeezy market is somewhat not affected, then I'm going to continue selling Yeezys. But I will let you guys know that I've noticed less people wanting to buy Yeezys because of the situation. Like some people just don't want to support Kanye's sneakers, and that makes sense. But I haven't seen market drop, and that's actually something I don't necessarily understand, because you would think that there would be a direct correlation. Less people want to buy it, so market's going to drop. But I think the people who do want to buy it might be paying a little bit more than usual, and then that's kind of balancing out how there's a drop of the people who don't want to buy
So
it.
now they're becoming a statement. They're becoming like almost like which side of the market you're on, or so, or not necessarily. Not that
I don't
doesn't
know
mean you're
about
agreeing.
that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're agreeing with Kanye's position or stance, but maybe Kanye versus Adidas type of thing, and saying I stand with or I don't.
I don't know about that, because I think that at the end of the day, it's a sneaker. It's fashion, it's rarity. And people are going to look at a lot of these sneakers as a collector's item and not even really think about who the designer behind them
Yeah,
is, because I can guarantee you a lot of these kids who are wearing Yeezys probably don't know who Kanye is or what Kanye said. They just know there's some controversy going around.
yeah, it's true.
Is it more the look? Because me personally,
Yes.
I don't Yeezys look like a great shoe. Like it don't look like a cool.
They are
shoe to me.
comfortable, I can tell you that.
But you know, what I
Super
mean?
comfortable. I think that if Nike were to release any type of shoe and just do it with a popular collab and do an amazing campaign building hype around the shoe, and then they only released 1,000 pairs, they could release a shoe that looks like a literal garbage can, and it's going to sell out because of the fake demand that they create around it.
But how do we determine though? Like, I mean, I guess for me, like I mean, there's other people like Kevin Durant's a great player. Kyrie has controversy now, and the issue did his value go up because Nike said that they weren't going to come out. They're LeBron's out there, but I hear that LeBron doesn't really have a huge resale value. So, how does that shift like really happen with these players?
Yeah, I think that what happened with Jordan is Jordan was working with Tinker Hatfield, and they created a beautiful silhouette of a shoe, and they created this iconic line. And Yeezy worked with Adidas, Kanye worked with Adidas to do the same thing. And something in the process of whatever happened between LeBron and Nike doing their line, or Durant and Nike doing their line, or Zion and Zion and Jordan doing their line, something didn't click in the same way. So I think in life, we have just the right amount of hard work and luck. And for some reason, people just resonated with the Jordan silhouette more than they did with some of these other silhouettes. So sometimes it's just throw these product lines out there. Some of them are going to be incredibly popular and some of them aren't. But I think with Jordan, it's like the only reason it worked is because that was the first the first athlete collaboration that really hit it off. And they hadn't really done anything before. And this is still early in with Nike as a company, you know what I mean? So I think after that, and they tried to recreate it with other athletes coming in and working to design Nike lines, but it just doesn't hit the same as that OG first time they see a shoe and an athlete together.
It's true. You can never replicate the magic that took place, and it always seems like just about in any industry, the first company or the first group that gets that magic just tends to hold on to it. It's almost like the first high. You're always chasing it, but you can never quite get there. So it's amazing. We have lots of friends of the shows here and lots of guests up here. You can see above me here. This is I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Jeff Hamilton is. Hamilton,
I just met him a week ago.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. Cool, yeah, he's a friend of the show. This is a Jeff Hamilton jacket. And then here on the table, we have Jeff Hamilton Converse, where he worked and collabed with Chinatown Market. And, of course, Jeff Hamilton and Converse there for some Lakers three-piece shoes. We were lucky enough to get a pair, never worn, and he signed them for us. Luckily, he had two different versions. We have both. A shoe like that's generally going to be of small production. Is that something that has a lot of value in the future? Do you believe that will continue to gain in value, or do you think that there's a limit to its value as the years go by?
I think that, if you are seeing a major increase in the value of a sneaker, it has to have a huge product line behind it. So like with Jordan, the only reason Jordan ones are able to go up because there's 50 other Jordans that aren't going up. And the Jordan brand is just so strong versus, and same with like Travis Scott sneakers going up because there's some of them are going to go up, some of them aren't, but there's like a big, strong brand around Travis Scott and Jordan, right? But I think like Chinatown Market and Converse, that's cool and all, but that's not like a huge line that kind of had that magic to go up long term.
They're kind of a one-off, this and that.
So what's the shoe that came out that you were surprised had a high resale market, and what's the shoe that you thought was going to have a high resale and it didn't?
Okay, I have one example. The Jordan 1, what are they called? I'm trying to remember the I don't remember the name of the shoe, but there's a Jordan 1 that came out recently. Do you guys know the pair? It's a Jordan 1 that's red and white.
Okay.
Yeah.
It basically they came out. I thought they were going to be they might be called Homage. Oh, Heritage. Okay. Heritage
Heritage.
Jordan 1. This is the shoe right here.
Gotcha.
Heritage Jordan 1. That sneaker came out and people were teasing it. I was like, this shoe is going to pop off. It's going to be $400 resale. Right now they're going for under retail. So I'm looking at a size 9 on StockX for $130. And I think right now a lot of trends that we were used to following as resellers of what shoes are going to pop off and what shoes are going to do really well just don't really work the same, because Nike kind of saw how popular Jordan 1s became over the years, and they just started flooding the market. And now kind of that demand is not really there as much, because there's so many different colors of Jordan 1s now, and they've kind of milked that. And same thing happened with Dunks. For a while, Dunks became just super popular. Every Dunk was reselling for hundreds, and they saw that, so they started releasing as many Dunks as possible until Dunks stopped reselling.
So
that's kind of what they do. Yeah. But as a company,
we're-
that's probably the right thing to do.
Right. They definitely know what they're doing. It's a science there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. You guys know what you're doing. You're watching the Profanity Nation podcast. We've got Mark here from Sneaker Resale X on Instagram. We'll be right back. We've got plenty of more questions for you, Mark. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick break. Thanks for watching Profanity Nation. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Cool.
United One Protection Services. With over 30 years of experience, United One Protection Services has more expertise and knowledge than the other security companies combined. Residential, commercial, municipal, or institutional, United One Protection Services does more than just security. We protect your livelihood. United One Protection Services.
And we're back. Thanks for hanging out,
Yo.
everybody. Again, this is the Profanity Nation podcast, Voice of the Professional Fan. We've got Mark here from Sneaker Resale X on Instagram. That's where you go if you want to get your kicks, if you want to see some nice shoes. It's all organized beautifully by size. Just go ahead and hit him up on Instagram. Go to his profile page, click on the highlight button that notifies or signifies your size, and you're going to see everything available. He keeps it up to date, so it's excellent. I got a question for you, Mark. Have you ever been, and I imagine you have you been contacted or commissioned to locate a rare shoe and say, hey, this is the shoe I want. Can you find this for me?
So when I was at a smaller scale, something that I did for people, especially celebrities, they would hit me up, say, hey, I want this shoe in this size. And I would go out of my way to find it. And I always can find any shoe that he wants, but usually it's not really worth my time to go out of my way to search for a shoe just to make one sale. You know what I mean? But if it's like a really, really high tier celebrity, then I'll go out of my way and take the time, because it might take hours for me to find one shoe just to make profit of one shoe. So it usually just makes more sense for me to get what I get and then throw it up on the Instagram.
That makes sense. That makes sense. A term that is thrown around in the sneakerhead world is, those sneakers got slept on. And what that generally means is that people were, sitting outside in line, waiting to get their hands on a pair of those, much like you and your Kobe's. Right. Do you find yourself sleeping on shoes, or are you pretty much sitting back, letting the market kind of fend for itself and then coming in after that?
I think that, people try to sell me new release shoes and I don't buy them, because I let the market settle first, because it can be very volatile. So if a shoe has come out last month and someone tries to sell me a pair, I won't buy it. It has to be out for a couple months to let the market stabilize before I'll buy it.
That makes sense.
So you don't you never are the like, oh my God, it's coming out tomorrow, and let me get up and try to get this shoe in hand because you know it's gonna go. That's just not your style.
Nope. Nope.
Not for
Different
business
business model.
for the business model. We got a question here. This actually comes from our producer, Dwan. He wants to know why didn't the Adapt 11s resell for more? People thought it would resell for $1,000 or so.
The Adapt 11s, you know, they did resell for a lot. I think the people were thinking that would be from like $600 to $1,000, and they were on the lower end of that. But Nike released a lot of Adapt shoes, and the retail was just too high to get that like peak interest in at first, because the retail is already hundreds of dollars when it should have probably been no different than the others, like $220 or whatever. But I think that the whole Adapt line is actually really unique, and I think it deserves more love.
Gotcha. So it's kind of overlooked.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, because they showed so much love to the Nike Air Mags, but then when the Adapt came out, nobody really cared. Like, they weren't reselling. You could go to most Nike outlets and find Adapt sneakers.
Wow. Gotcha. When you're doing purchases, obviously you said, you know, the super rare pair of Yeezys, you went ahead on GOAT. But obviously that's not your main source. When you're getting shoes, you tend to get them in bunches, in bulk. Usually when you're getting a shipment or a supply or finding, you know, the shoes to stock your business, how many pairs are you buying at a time?
So typically I get my shoes from two methods. Number one, I have kind of a group of a group of sellers that I'm consistently buying from, that I kind of alternate buying from. Or I'll go to a sneaker event and then buy a bunch of individual pairs in one day. SneakerCon was last week, and I bought, I think, 80 pairs at SneakerCon. I might, you know, call one of my bulk sellers and 50 pairs at a time from them. Maybe I'll buy 10 sometimes. So it just really depends on what shoes I'm looking for, and just kind of the situation of the market at the time. And those things definitely change frequently.
What's your personal collection that you wear?
That's got to be what everyone's thinking, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have access to all these kicks, what do you keep in your personal collection for yourself, you know, that you're not getting rid of?
You know what? The truth is, I got to get before rich. And I'm not really a big spender. I'm not like super materialistic. So I have I have a couple $1,000s of sneakers sitting in my closet that I kind of like to wear, but I'm not really buying them necessarily for the rarity. I'm just buying them for how they look. And, you know, I have some Off-Whites, some designer sneakers, some Dunks, just for fashion, but I don't really have some crazy. SneakerCon, I wore Yeezys because I'm standing for 13 hours, 2 days in a row. I can't, I need something really comfortable, you know what I mean? So like Off-White MCAs, I only wear them to like dinners and stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Is there a shoe, like, you know, the trend is now you put a suit on and then you wear some Jordans, right? So are shoes that are preferred for that look, you know, because what was that?
On the Lakers broadcast, you got James Worthy doing it.
Yeah.
You've got Robert Ory doing it on the post game shows. They've got their suit and tennis shoes on. It seems like a new fashion trend out there. But you know, with the price of the shoes, they're more expensive than a lot of dress shoes. So it's almost like the price determines that.
Yeah, at this point, Jordans in a suit is clean. Like, that's fire. I think it's a really cool thing to do. But I think it works with almost any shoe. Like, you could throw on a suit with Yeezys. You could throw on a suit with Off-White Air Forces. You could throw on a suit with clean Air Force Ones. And it's just kind of, you have this one color. Your whole body is one color, and then you have like a pop at the bottom. So like, think about the Off-White Volt. I don't know if you guys know what those are, but the Off-White Air Force Volts with a fully black suit. You have the green sneakers that just pop. That's fire.
Gotcha. Has there been one pair of shoes that has eluded you that you wanted to get that you would have loved to have in your collection to sell, but you just haven't been able to find them? What's
Yes.
that?
The Nike Air Mag. I have been waiting 3 years to get my hands on them, and until I've gotten a pair of those at some point, even if I just have them for a day and that's a quick sell, I need that shoe. I need that shoe. The Nike Air Max, iconic shoe. I might just go spend $10,000 on them and lose money because that's just such an iconic sneaker, and I need that
Those
in
are
my
like
collection.
the Back to the Future type shoe, right?
Yep. That's the one. That's no brainer answer to your question.
There it is. And have you had a chance? Have you seen them in person, had a chance and didn't pull the trigger, regretted it, or just it hasn't even come to that point yet where you've had that opportunity?
Not in person, but you know what? My friend hit me up. He had my size on a pair. He wanted $16,000 for a brand new pair. I offered him $13,000 for him. I was ready to buy him. He declined my $13,000 offer, unfortunately. So that was.
Do you regret not going up to 16 now?
Nah.
No, you're like there's a limit. There's still a limit to that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's for sure.
I mean, that's a down payment on a car, man.
That's an actual car.
Yeah,
that's an actual car for a lot of people.
It's ironic because I'm talking about how I don't even right now, like how I can't even swallow like buying a car, and I'll go buy $13,000 shoes. I don't even want to buy a car.
But what would you do that? Would you wear them or you would just have them in your collection?
I would have them.
What do you do? Because like I know, like my daughter, for example, she's 14. They're in high school, and they have the shoes, and everybody walks like a certain way because they have the shoes, and they don't want to
strut.
They don't want to crease them and all those types of stuff. What type of tips can you give to actually wear a shoe but not make it look like they've been worn? Do you have any tips for that?
So when you buy a sneaker, it comes with a cardboard cutout inside the shoe that is kind of propping it up. So what I do is I'll take that, and you could just buy like this made of plastic on Amazon if you search crease protector. But what I'll do is I'll take that cardboard cutout out, and then I'll just cut around where the toe box is, and then just stick it in and leave that in while I'm wearing them. So
is that comfortable?
Yeah, because you don't feel it. But also, it should be an expensive shoe if you're gonna do that. Otherwise, just buy them on Amazon. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I have those in my off-white MCAs, and I don't want to crease them up. It sucks because you want to say, hey, like I'm gonna go and wear my shoes. Like I spent all this money on these. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna wear these, and then you're just like, I can't do it. You can't bring yourself to
exactly.
So okay, is there a way to protect the bottom of the shoe? Where
our producer is showing us in the background here these Nike X off-whites in a blue color. They're gorgeous. The MCA sneakers.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's the pair. Yeah, that's the pair I'm talking about. But it's interesting because there's a certain thing called a sole. You know what? I can show you guys. Would you like to see? I have a pair in the back here with All right, give me a second.
Yeah, no problem. That's awesome. It's gonna show us some special stuff. Look at this. Look at that stock he's got over there. I want to go through there, right?
Yeah, I want to go check it out.
Check it out.
I want to go look at some Kobe's.
So
you got any Grinches in there? Or no?
No, I don't have I just shipped a pair out yesterday. But
how many Mambasitas?
Mambasitas. Nah, the only pair of Kobe's I have is this pair right here. These Kobe's. I might have more pairs, but
like mine,
nothing crazy. I don't sell that many Kobe's. Yeah, those are pretty worn. Yeah, I had a pair of Grinches that just sold. Those fly. But I'll show you guys the sole protector right here. So this is basically a plastic covering that you would put on the bottom of your shoe, and this can be peeled off, but you just wear this over and it protects, like you don't drag out the shoe. So when it comes off,
how do they not have the proper name? I've been thinking of those for a while, but I call them soul savers. How could they? I mean, it's so simple, soul savers. If they don't have that name, I don't understand.
Soul protector.
No,
soul
it's got to be
protector.
soul savior.
I don't know. It kind of makes sense. I feel like.
Yeah, it does.
Uh,
It does. But
So it
play on
just
the-
goes on the bottom. So now you're able you put. I mean, that's a lot of work to me. But so you put the
It
thing on
is.
the
I don't
top.
even know how to put it. I don't even know how to put it on. I think you need like a heat gun or something. Like it's a lot of work because this is on there. Like I can't. I think I would need to take like a scraper to get this off. Like I wouldn't be able to just peel it off. So it's
So then, legitimately, once
uh,
you wear that, that gets dirty. So while the original shoe is cleaned underneath, you can't get that off anyway. So it's almost like the same thing.
nah, because you can get it off. It's just a lot of work to do it. So
Gotcha. It's like a car wrap.
yeah, almost.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
So how? Well, I guess it would determine on the shoe. But my original question is, like a shoe that's used. You know, how big is that market versus new? Because obviously
I sell
used
more
will be a
used.
little bit less.
I sell
And
a lot more used than new.
Is that because of the price?
My
point,
business.
do you
So the reason I sell more used sneakers is because, you know, a brand new sneaker has a very defined market. A brand new sneaker, you know, you can see the highest bid in the last sale, and usually when someone's selling it, they're clear on what it's worth, and you can't really get that good of a deal on it for me to profit on. But when it comes to used sneakers, you know, you can argue that a shoe might be worth less because of this heel drag, and someone else might argue that it's worth more. And it's kind of like a one man's junk is another man's treasure situation, where that allows you to get much better deals because there's less of a defined market.
understand? There's more room to work in there and determine.
Yeah.
There's obviously all right, this is a good question. As far as purchasing, when you're looking at potentially purchasing a pair of used shoes to resell, is it the more rare the shoe, the more worn it can be and still hold value, or is it does that work or coincide with each other at all?
Not sure I understand what you mean by that.
Meaning that well, essentially, if you had a pair of Air Mags and they were worn to the bone, would they still have more value than a pair of Yeezys worn to the bone? Would you still
Oh, yeah.
purchase those Air Mags regardless, even if they're worn down and so forth, just because of the mystique?
Yeah, but the you know, the worse condition, the harder it's going to be to sell, and the less they're going to go for. So the other day I saw a pair of like super beat up Air Mags for like 4,000, but they were just too worn for me, and I didn't. They were too far gone. You know, life support can't save those.
Excellent. What do you think the future holds for some of these larger online markets like StockX, who can no longer guarantee the authenticity? I mean, that was their key to trust. If they don't
Yeah.
have that, how are you going to go onto their site and spend these huge dollars when they're not willing to stand behind their product? How do you think that'll affect? Do you think that'll have a long-term effect across the market, or do you think that'll stick solely with StockX, or are they just the first in line, and Nike and these other shoe companies will continue to go after these larger resellers?
You know, it is really possible that they're first in line, and next might be GOAT and then Flight Club, because I think that these big companies can't necessarily guarantee authenticity when they're passing thousands of shoes every day. Only reason I can guarantee authenticity is because I'm personally myself checking every single pair. So I know people who are getting fakes from StockX, and I think that I just can't imagine why anyone would go and buy a shoe from StockX when they no longer guarantee authenticity. But at the same time, I think they've built such a huge market for themselves where they literally are the price check for every reseller on the planet that they almost can't fail. I mean,
Too big to fail.
sales they're too big to, like, if Apple started charging $3,000 for their phones, they're still going to make a shit ton of money. They might make less, but they're still going to make a shit ton of money. It's just too big to fail.
Now, I purchased through eBay, and eBay does an authentication. Hopefully that they're still good. But I know, and then they have sneaker shows where you can go and get the shoes checked. I've seen that online and so forth.
Yeah.
So there is a need for that to ensure that the authentication is there. And I believe that, you know, the original, you know, brands want that as well. They don't want counterfeit or a market for counterfeit products out there, regardless if it's resale or not, you know, for older pairs of shoes.
Yeah, I think eBay is actually one of the better authenticators. People say that like they're just super, like they don't mess up. That's
Really?
from what
Well,
I've
that's good
heard.
to know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good to know.
So when you go to buy shoes, you touch them first, right? Like, so you don't really buy necessarily online. You actually meet up and actually check the shoes out before you even pull the
No,
trigger, right?
at sneaker events, yes, but a lot of my deals are literally done on FaceTime. Like I'm working, like the other day, work a $15,000 deal in an hour on FaceTime, where they're showing me all the shoes, and then I'll authenticate it when I get it in person. And if a shoe is fake, you know, I have good relationships with these people, and they're gonna refund me. But most of the shoes that I'm getting are coming in from online. I just do buy a lot from sneaker events.
Gotcha.
Okay.
When you're at sneaker events, you're just keeping an open mind, looking for what you might find, or are you usually going there on a hunt?
Definitely keeping an open mind, just whatever I could get a good deal on. Yeah.
So, but at secret events, they're not going for. Are these? I guess my question is twofold. If you go to a sneaker event like me, for example, where I would go, I'm just a regular person. I'm not like necessarily a reseller. For you, you are actually a reseller, so you need to get something a couple $100 cheaper in order to be able to make a profit off of it.
Yeah.
How do you? Is that because your relationship with them, they know who you are, so you kind of get the wholesale resale price versus me that they don't know me? I would just get the regular resale price. Is that how it works, or?
A little bit. I mean, sure, some people will throw me a bone because they know who I am, but that's not really necessarily the big thing. I think it's when you go to a sneaker event, you have a lot of people who are taxing just to tax, and they're just charging more than a shoe is worth. And then you have people who are looking at it from a liquidation perspective, and they're like, okay, here's my chance to give wholesale prices and just hope that I can sell as much as possible. So it really just depends on, you know, each shoe, and oftentimes I'll go to a sneaker table and they'll have 100 shoes, and every single shoe is priced $50 more than what it's worth, and I'll just find one shoe that they priced really, really well. Maybe you know, maybe that shoe was priced well and then it went up after and they forgot to raise the price, or maybe they got an insane deal on it and they just want a quick flip. And it's kind of my job to walk around these events and pick out those little deals that are hidden, scattered throughout all the tax.
That's awesome. How many pairs do you sell or go through in an average week?
I
And or
I can
month?
say a month would be bad month 100 and good month 400.
Really? And it picks up this time of year going into the holidays, I imagine?
Should be, yeah. I think it has definitely started to pick up.
And how long have you been doing it?
3.5 years almost.
3.5
just
years.
3
So are you
years,
gonna
3
have
months.
Black Friday deals? You know, Black Friday's coming up on. You know, you about to
I've
have
been
your
thinking about that.
blockbuster once in a
It's
lifetime deal.
it's in the works. I was thinking about doing like 100 and under sale or something like that. So I'm considering that, but got a couple days to plan that out. But yeah, we dabble in those little Cyber Monday deals and things like that.
That's cool. That's cool. Mark, we're getting towards the end of the episode here. You've been awesome. But our show, whenever we finish a show here, we finish with a segment we call Money Mike's Out of Bounds. So Money
Okay.
Mike over here, it's easy. He's going to share his thoughts or opinion on a topic. And he just wants to know from you and I and anyone else listening, if they want to comment, are his thoughts inbounds or out of bounds? Money Mike, you got the mic.
Hey man, you know, hey, first of all, great conversation. I learned a whole lot about sneakers and stuff. I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but I got to ask because I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask this question. So we've already realized that, and you said earlier that LeBrons don't have a high resale value, right? So am I out of bounds that the reason why LeBron James shoes don't have a lot of high resale value because all of them are ugly and nobody wants them? Am I about
I
to
hate
say
to
that?
say it. You're not that crazy to say that. A lot of LeBron shoes do not look that amazing, but I mean, I think it really just comes down to not repping the magic that Jordan Brand did. I mean, you can't just take any famous athlete, put his name or face on a shoe, and have and, and have a multi-billion-dollar brand from it. I mean, they still make good money. LeBron and Nike, if they're still doing it, they're still making money, but not like Jordan was.
Yeah. So I'm in bounds. Because
I'll
all the
say
LeBron
you're
shoes
in
are
bands
ugly.
because they're not
Yeah,
pretty. They're
yeah.
usually quite ugly. You're right. So you know, and like Mark says, you know, it's just you can't compare to Jordan. But so you got two in bounds. You're
I'm
definitely
in
there,
bounds.
100%
100%.
on that one. But you mentioned Travis Scott
Yeah.
earlier. He kind of caught, you know, magic in a bottle there.
Yeah.
Who would you say? Who would you say maybe besides, because we talked about Travis Scott, has he come the closest to that success, or is there someone else on there? Obviously, we have Yeezy. Let's set Yeezy aside.
So this is kind of an indirect answer because this is a brand, not a person. But when Sakai and Nike did their collab at first, every shoe that they released was reselling for $700-800. So they kind of caught that magic in a bottle, those two brands coming together. And then all of us, they started releasing a bunch of sneakers and they started doing a bunch of colorways, and now they go for like $150 resale and no one really wants them. As well as like Fragment and Nike did the same thing where they kind of caught magic in a bottle. Shoes were reselling for thousands of dollars, but then they just overdid the collaboration and they flooded the market with new colorways that were Fragment X Nike, and now they just don't really have any resale value. But the original ones still hold their value.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
One more question. So we every shoe seems like, unless they're like the real high end shoes, obviously, but it's only been Nike and Adidas. So is Under Armour, you think, ever going to have a shoe, or Skechers going to have a shoe, or you know, Reebok, or ever going to really have a shoe
Puma's trying.
that is going to try to create any type of buzz, like for the resale
The
market?
only brand that surprised me was New Balance. They kind of had a little bit of a peak of interest in 2021 where they did a collab with, they started doing collabs with brands and they were actually reselling. So that's like the only shoe brand besides Nike and Adidas who kind of managed to create a little bit of hype around themselves to an extent of having an aftermarket. But other than that, New Balance, Nike, Adidas, and obviously New Balance will never be on the level of Nike or Adidas.
Yeah.
No, well, they're a very functional shoe, that's for sure. But like you said, they're not necessarily known for their designer or their you know, the fashion side.
No Kawhis or nothing like that.
Yeah. And then really quick again before we let you go, we got about 1 minute left. You mentioned some of the other shoes you carry are you know, designer brands.
Yes, yeah.
Which are the new designer brand shoes that are really hot these days?
But people love Balenciaga. People love Gucci. People love Louis Vuitton. Anything that screams, hey, I'm rich, that's what people want. People want the big logos. People want the obnoxious shoes, and people will pay obnoxious money for obnoxious shoes.
Yeah, the Balenciagas have always been really expensive, and they look super bulky.
Yeah.
I've never actually put a pair on. I've seen, I considered, but they're just so huge. Each shoe looks so big. That's just their thing, right? They always build a massive shoe.
The Balenciaga sock shoes, though, are actually very comfortable. I have a pair for myself, but yeah, the ones with the huge soles, I can't imagine. I've never put one on, but I can't imagine that they're comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Not very functional. Well, this has been awesome, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sneaker Resale X, everybody.
Yep,
Sneaker
Resale
X on Instagram. That's where you want to go. Christmas is coming, so be sure to slip that Instagram name in your girlfriend or your mom and dad's drawer so they know where to find them. Tell them what size shoe and maybe what you're looking for. There's a good chance you're going to find it over there. Mark, you've been awesome. We'll keep tabs on what's going on. I keep up to date with you anyways, so I just can't help it. I'm a sneakerhead. So
Yeah.
we really appreciate you being on here. We really appreciate you updating us on what you do and informing us and teaching us a lot.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. You have a great Christmas. Thanks again, my man.
You
Thanks
too.
a lot, man. Good luck to you.
All right, guys. Well, that was awesome. We
Yeah,
learned
it was
a lot.
great.
We
Yeah,
learned a
learned a lot
lot.
about
Okay,
shoes.
and then what we're going to do here before we leave, just going to double check what that final score was, and we'll let you leave here. The Lakers, we're going to soon beat the San Antonio Spurs. Come on on the phone. Let's go. 92 to 123. So the Lakers now are 4-0 without Braun. And Anthony Davis playing like a beast. Let's just see what he finished with. I have a feeling he finished with about 25 or 30. Anthony Davis finished with 30 points. I'm right on there.
And then we have a double-double, I know, from Westbrook.
Westbrook. Let's see. Westbrook finished with 10, 10, and 4. You're
10,
absolutely
10,
right.
there you go.
Right there. And then
So-
Austin Reeves playing well. Austin Reeves playing really well with 21 points. Lonnie Walker still playing strong with 14 points. Thomas Bryant showed up with 15 points. Hey, look who showed up. Kendrick Nunn with 13 points in 20 minutes. And then Schroeder, 13 points in 22 minutes.
Man, I think we got something going on. Stay hurt, LeBron.
Don't stay hurt. Just stay relaxed. We never wish pain, but stay
Hey,
relaxed.
LeBron's
Let
doing a
these
great
guys
job
get
right
some
now.
speed. And LeBron, when you do come back, just take it easy. Be that facilitator.
Right. Just
Play
pass
the
ball.
facilitator role and enjoy the fact that you may not have to carry the load, and that will help you a lot. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining the show. We love you. We love you for being here. You've been watching the Profanity Nation podcast. Stay tuned because at 10 p.m., the waiver wire comes on with yours truly, Money Mike, and then Marco Nunez, the former head athletic trader for the Lakers. They're going to keep you up to date on fantasy football injuries, and you're only going to find it here on the Infanity Studio streaming channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. That's the way you're not going to miss any of the great shows. Plenty of other great shows on the channel, but that one comes up next, and that one's going to make sure you win your fantasy league, or at least don't come in last and have to pay that debt, you guys. So for my co-host here, Money Mike, Stat Pat, who couldn't be with us today, we are the Profanity Nation podcast. Thank you very much. We're out.
Then peace.